So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my second video in this channel. Last video I discussed about the cellular events of acute inflammation. Today I am going to discuss about the vascular changes in acute inflammation. So today's topic is on the vascular changes in acute inflammation. So the reactions of blood vessels in acute inflammation consists of firstly is changes in vascular flow and caliber, and next is increase in vascular permeability. So these are the two reactions of the blood vessels in acute inflammation. What are they? First is changes in vascular flow and caliber. Second is increased vascular permeability. So the main purpose is to deliver the circulating cells, fluids and plasma proteins from the circulation to the sites of infection or tissue injury. So to the sites of infection or tissue injury. So the main purpose for these reactions is to bring the plasma proteins, the circulating cells, fluids from the circulation to the sites of injury. So today we are going to discuss about the vascular changes in acute inflammation. We are going to discuss about the mechanisms of increased vascular permeability, and we are going to discuss about the reactions of blood vessels in acute inflammation. So basically we are going to discuss in detail about these changes in vascular flow and caliber and increase in vascular permeability and vasodilation and all that we are going to discuss. So as I discussed in the last slide, so the reactions of blood vessels in acute inflammation consists of, first is the changes in vascular flow and caliber, which we are going to discuss. So first we talk about vasodilation. So vasodilation is the earliest feature of acute inflammation. So sometimes it follows a transient constriction of arterioles. So vasoconstriction, it's an axonal response to injury. The vessels undergo vasoconstriction first, followed by vasodilation. So sometimes it follows a transient constriction of arterioles. The effect is increased blood flow, mainly increased blood flow, resulting in localized heat and redness. So vasodilation leads to localized heat and redness. The chemical mediators which are involved are histamine, prostaglandins, platelet activating factor, kinins and nitric oxide. So these are the chemical mediators which are involved. So vasodilation in acute inflammation is responsible for one of the cardinal signs of inflammation which we discussed. For this is rubor. So redness. So vasodilation is responsible for redness. Why? Because vasodilation results in increased blood flow to the concerned area, which results in localized heat and redness. So vasodilation is the earliest feature of acute inflammation. It sometimes follows a transient vasoconstriction. The effect is increased blood flow resulting in localized heat and redness. The chemical mediators which are involved are histamine, prostaglandins, platelet activating factor, kinins and nitric oxide. And vasodilation leads to rubor or redness, which is one of the cardinal signs of acute inflammation. So vasodilation will result in increased blood flow, as we have discussed. So above you can see in a normal scenario arteriolar end, and in the venules, and in the inflamed area there will be arterial dilatation, venule dilatation, and there will be increased blood flow. So there will be erythema, warmth and localized heat and redness. So basically localized heat and redness, so erythema and warmth. So there will be leakage of plasma proteins and to the outside, causing edema, and there will be increased blood flow. So vasodilation leads to increased blood flow, localized heat and redness, and it will cause rubor or redness, which is one of the cardinal signs of acute inflammation. So next we are going to talk about increased vascular permeability. So basically increased vascular permeability of the microvasculature, we are actually referring to vascular leakage here. Okay, so increased vascular permeability is the hallmark of acute inflammation. So basically the hallmark of acute inflammation, it causes one of the cardinal signs of inflammation, namely tumor or edema. So tumor or edema. So it leads to escape of protein-rich fluid from the circulation into the extravascular space, which we call exudation. So exudation is basically a new term which we get here. Exudation is defined as the process of escape of protein, fluids and circulating cells from the vessels into the interstitial tissue or body cavities. The chemical mediators which are involved in this are histamine, leukotrienes, platelet activating factor and kinins. So increased vascular permeability or vascular leakage will cause edema or tumor, which is the hallmark of acute inflammation, and it leads to escape of protein-rich fluid from the circulation into the extravascular tissues, which is known as exudation, and chemical mediators are histamine, leukotrienes, platelet activating factor and kinins. So an important thing to note here that I have talked about basically two events. First is changes in vascular flow and caliber, and second is increased vascular permeability. So these two events will cause the combined effect of these two will result in slowing of blood flow. So it basically leads to concentration of RBCs in small vessels and increased viscosity of blood. So there will be increased viscosity of blood and concentration of RBCs in the small vessels. So it will lead to stasis. So stasis is responsible for again that localized redness. So these two combined effect will cause slowing of blood flow and stasis. So as a result of slowing of blood flow, there will be the cellular event which we talked in a previous video, margination. So margination will occur due to loss of laminar blood flow. So stasis will cause localized redness, and slowing of blood flow will lead to concentration of RBCs in small vessels and results in increased viscosity of the blood. So now let us discuss about the mechanisms of increased vascular permeability. So there are several mechanisms that can cause increased vascular permeability. The first thing which comes to our mind, the most important thing basically, is the contraction of the endothelial cells. So contraction of the endothelial cells is what we are going to talk about firstly. So it is, as you can see, the most common mechanism of vascular leakage, the most common mechanism. It occurs immediately after injury and it is usually short-lived. So it is short-lived and it is called as immediate transient response. So it is an immediate transient response. So contraction of endothelial cells is an immediate transient response. It is the most common mechanism of vascular leakage and it occurs immediately after injury and it is usually short-lived. The chemical mediators which are involved are histamine, bradykinin, leukotrienes and neuropeptide substance P. So this is the first mechanism which we are discussing under mechanisms of increased vascular permeability. So first is contraction of endothelial cells. So this is the first mechanism, as I told you, contraction of endothelial cells. So what happens here, as you can see, the endothelial cells, they contract, so there will be increased space. So increased space between the endothelial cells, this promotes vascular leakage. So this is the first mechanism and this is immediate transient response. So the next mechanism which causes increased vascular permeability is direct endothelial injury. So direct endothelial injury. So direct endothelial injury is usually due to infections or burns by the microbes. It is known as immediate sustained response. So unlike the previous one which we called immediate transient response, this is immediate sustained response. So direct endothelial injury is an immediate sustained response and it is due to infections or burns by the microbes. So infection basically means the presence and multiplication within a host of another living organism and subsequent injury to the host. So infections or burns by microbes causes direct endothelial injury. This is the second mechanism. The third mechanism is leukocyte mediated vascular injury. So leukocyte mediated vascular injury, what happens basically that the leukocytes, mainly the neutrophils which adheres to the endothelium during acute inflammation, may themselves injure the endothelium. So basically leukocyte mediated vascular injury. This vascular injury is mediated by leukocytes and this causes increased vascular permeability. So this is the third mechanism, leukocyte mediated vascular injury. So the next one is direct endothelial injury. So direct damage to the endothelium. So the burns or infections will cause direct damage to the endothelium. As you can see, this endothelium is broken here. This the ones where I have marked with orange. So endothelium is damaged here. So through this damaged portion of the endothelium, there can be vascular leakage. So this is the second mechanism, and it is immediate sustained response. So next will be leukocyte mediated vascular injury. So the leukocytes adhere to the endothelium during inflammation and they themselves injure the endothelial cells. So here you can see the WBCs, the neutrophils basically, they adhere to the endothelium and they damage here. So they will damage the endothelium here and through the damaged portion of the endothelium there can be vascular leakage. So as you can see, there is retraction of endothelial cells. So due to retraction, the spacing is increased space between endothelial cells and there will be vascular leakage. Then there is also direct endothelial injury due to burns or infections, immediate sustained response, and direct endothelial injury can be direct or maybe due to leukocyte mediated. Both of them are also responsible for increased vascular permeability. So the next mechanism which we are going to talk about is increased transcytosis. So fourth is increased transcytosis. The process of transport of fluids and proteins to the channels known as vesiculovacuolar organelle is known as transcytosis. So there are channels called vesiculovacuolar organelles. So through these channels there will be transport of proteins and fluids. So this process is basically known as transcytosis. So this is in this channels, basically the number of channels are increased in number during inflammation. So they are increased in number during inflammation. These channels known as vesicular vacuolar organelles. So this process mainly involves intracellular channels. Intracellular channels stimulated by vascular endothelial growth factor, which promotes vascular leakage. So vascular endothelial growth factor stimulates these intracellular channels, and the leakage of transport of proteins and fluids through these channels will promote leakage. So increased transcytosis is one of the mechanisms of increased vascular permeability. So, and the last one, the fifth one, the last mechanism is leakage from new blood vessels. So what happens basically is during repair, new blood vessels are formed. This process is known as angiogenesis. So the angiogenesis, basically new blood vessels are formed during repair. So these vessels are leaky till the endothelial cells mature. So till the endothelial cells mature, these newly formed blood vessels are leaky. So leakage from these new blood vessels results in increased vascular permeability. So leakage from new blood vessels, the fifth and the last mechanism, causes increased vascular permeability. So these were the 5 mechanisms which causes increased vascular permeability. So the fourth one was transcytosis. So transcytosis is basically movement through intracellular channels, as I have discussed. So there will be vesicular vacuolar organelles, these channels, these intracellular channels, which will be increased in number during inflammation. So in transcytosis, there is no widening of the gap and there is no endothelial injury, neither direct nor leukocyte mediated, but here through intracellular channels only there will be vascular leakage and there will be transport of proteins and fluids. So increased transcytosis. So these are the channels, intercellular channels, which I have marked. So through these intercellular channels there will be vascular leakage. Another one is new blood vessel formation. So these are the sites of angiogenesis, and these sites persist until intercellular junctions form. So until the intercellular junctions will form, there will be vascular leakage. So with that, we end today's video. This was more or less I had to discuss for this video. So let's make a quick recap, a quick summary. So what we discussed today, basically the vascular changes in acute inflammation. So 2 reactions occur. First is changes in vascular flow and caliber. Next is increase in vascular permeability. The purpose is to deliver the plasma proteins from circulation to sites of infection. Next, we discussed about the changes in vascular flow and caliber. We talked about vasodilatation, the earliest feature of acute inflammation, localized heat and redness, and rubor, one of the cardinal signs. Next, we talked about increased vascular permeability, hallmark of acute inflammation, causes tumor or edema, results in exudation. Next was mechanisms of increased vascular permeability. First was contraction of endothelial cells, which is immediate transient response. Next was direct endothelial injury, immediate sustained response. Next was leukocyte mediated vascular injury. Fourth one, increased transcytosis. And the last one, leakage from new blood vessels. So basically this was all I had to discuss. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe to my channel, and more videos will be coming. Actually, next video will also be on general pathology. Maybe I will discuss about amyloidosis. So amyloidosis I am going to talk about the next video. So do stay tuned, and thanks for watching.